From Learfield IMG College, this is Plant the Flag, the official UMass Athletics podcast. Now, here is your host, the voice of UMass Athletics, Jay Burnham.
And welcome into another episode of Plant the Flag, coming at you from the Jay Burnham Podcast Emporium here inside the Mullins Center. As I mentioned last time around, sponsorship available if you're watching on the YouTube or on the website. Your logo here, your logo there, and your information throughout the podcast. I'm Jay Burnham, voice of the Minutemen, excited to be joined by Coach Mike Leflar for UMass Women's Basketball. What's going on, Coach?
Not much, Jay. Appreciate being here. Can local breweries sponsor this podcast?
Yeah, we could go that route for sure.
You know, something to explore.
You and I have some shared interests there. We've got a lot to cover here with you entering your third season and just this group that you've got heading into the year. We're about a month out from the start of the year. So practice has begun just a couple days as we record this. How you feeling about this team?
Feel great. Really optimistic. We started practice Monday, 2 days in, and much farther along than we were even this time last year, just with the continuity. You know, our 4 starters back, top 8 players back. We really had a great spring, summer, a couple weeks in the fall. And honestly, the last, I would say, 16 or 17 months on the job have been really exciting for me, and really proud that that's able to continue moving into year 3.
Well, the first 6 months on the job were chaotic as all can be. I mean, you guys lost your whole team. You take over and really just try to pull a staff together, pull a team together. And then you make this huge jump year 1 to year 2. What did that, I guess, tell folks in the community? What did that tell your players about, you know, if they buy into what you're doing, you guys will ultimately have success?
Yeah, I think ultimately in year 2, we had people that on the team that wanted to buy in. You know, and honestly, the additions of Yamani McHale make a big impact. Megan Olbrys make a big impact, and then Ali Palmieri being able to being eligible to play. You know, the talent spoke for itself. We took a jump in that regard, but I think also the buy-in, the trust. You had people coming here willing to learn, willing to be a part of something, and that was the biggest difference year 1 to year 2. And for me personally, I think year 1, and something I've shared with other coaches, I've shared with some people in the media. You know, I was trying to be everything to everyone on the team and the program. And then year 2, I said, hey, let me focus on our captains, let me focus on our culture, and let me do a better job focusing on the coaching staff and helping them understand what I need from them, expectations, roles. And I still have a lot more growth to do on my own in that regard as a leader and manager. But I think me narrowing that focus, I was able to really positively affect everyone's individual experience. And then obviously our program took huge strides.
Yeah, I mean, it leads to a appearance in the WNIT for just the 4th time in program history. You win the first game against Stonehill and then have just a tough battle against Buffalo, who went on to win the whole tournament. What do you remember about that game and what you think back at that moment?
Well, I just spoke about that trip yesterday to some students on campus in our communication department. The first thing I remember about the game is knowing we were playing Buffalo. The night before, I set up a, wing eating taste test. We got about 200 wings from the Anchor Bar, for those of you who have been to Buffalo, and about 200 wings from Duff's. And they both battle for supremacy and who's the original Buffalo wing. So we did that the night before the game. That was a lot of fun.
Wait. So what was the outcome? Was there a preferred wing?
There was a preferred wing.
Girls?
We got 3 of the same flavors from each place. And
are we talking like a mild, medium, hot? Or?
We did a mild, and then we did, from what I remember, maybe a garlic parm from both places. And then I don't know what the third flavor was, maybe a barbecue. And we blind tasted. We taste tested. We had some sheets to hand out. People were grading, and Duff's won. Duff's prevailed over the Anchor Bar.
Oh, man, that's going to upset a lot of people in Buffalo.
And it was, I've been to both. I love both, and our team enjoyed it. And then the game was just a really terrific battle. Great environment, you know, a couple thousand fans there, battle back and forth. You know, we had a big lead, 14, 16 points going into the fourth quarter. You know, unfortunately, had some people foul out and just turned the ball over, and Buffalo got momentum, forced overtime. And then, they went on to win it. But I think, us having that postseason experience spoke to our players and said, hey, there's a real commitment here. We are going places. We're on an upward trajectory. And our season wasn't over after the A10 quarterfinal loss to St. Louis. We had more basketball to play. I think someone like Steph Kaleja, who really had a fantastic senior year, but especially the last 2 or 3 months, you saw her really become a senior and play with the urgency every single day that this could be her last day. And to have Steph be able to affect our underclassmen for those 2 extra weeks was monumental. And I think that was a huge springboard for us into our spring. And I think the lessons learned there and the experience will help us this year.
Okay, there's so many avenues that you just brought up that I want to go down. Steph Kaleja now playing professionally or getting an opportunity to. But you referenced kind of the Buffalo game. They're now a conference opponent of yours. And so I think when people step back and they say UMass is moving into the MAC, they think obviously, okay, the football gets a conference, men's basketball not as competitive as the A10. But the MAC in women's basketball is a little different. I mean, what's the competition level that you're heading into this year when you see those other teams, especially a team like Buffalo?
Yeah, well, one, as I've told our players, I'm focusing on us first. We have to be at our best from the start. And with regards to the move to the MAC from the women's side, I mean, in the end, both the A10 and the MAC are one-bid leagues. You have to win the conference tournament.
Right.
I think there are one-offs. Once every 5 years, the A10, like last year, got 2 teams in. It was just a few years ago that the MAC had teams in the Sweet 16, whether it was Buffalo, Central Michigan. So the top of both conferences are really, really strong, really competitive, and honestly very comparable. So for us, it's a move that we're going to see very similar competition night in and night out. Like I told our team last spring, we're going to be jumping on a plane and traveling to different places, but it doesn't change who we are, how we travel, where we stay. We're just going to be playing some different names on jerseys.
You go back to last year and you're saying, look, we didn't have the cohesion at the beginning of the season. Hopefully you have that now with most of your firepower returning. Looking at the conference schedule, you start with ODU, which is part of the Sun Belt MAC Challenge. I love this, by the way, pitting one mid-major conference against another. What do you think about this non-conference schedule as you've laid out this year?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to start at ODU because the Sun Belt has some teams in some really remote towns, and I'm happy to be going to a team that's near a central airport or multiple central airports, so we can get in and out pretty easily. I know ODU will be a big test for us athletically.
The WNIT team last year.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And they'll be a good test for us athletically. I'm excited about the non-conference. A lot of familiar rivals. I do like when we're able to play, all of our local rivals in the non-conference. And my hope is in the future we can get some old A10 rivals back on the schedule. Yeah. Obviously Harvard is a highlight, being an NCAA tournament team. I feel like there's some payback. We owe some teams some payback from last year. We slipped up early. BC is always a big one for me personally, and having them home is exciting. And then late December or mid-December, right before the holiday break, we're going down to Miami to play in the FIU tournament, which we had played in a few years ago. And I want, obviously we're going down to be really competitive and win games, but I also want our players to be able to experience, hey, we're staying on South Beach. I'm sure we'll do a walkthrough or two on the beach. We'll go to a nice dinner. We're staying at the Lowe's down there. So I'm trying, I want that to be a really first-class trip for our team. And I'm excited about that one as well.
Can I get on that trip with you?
Absolutely. There's room. There's room.
And we forgive you, too, for being a BC alumnus. But obviously getting to play teams like that, Holy Cross, Army, I mean, you love that regionality that we're able to bring here. You used the transfer portal a little bit this year. Two incoming transfers, one from URI, one from Oakland. Tell us about the decision to bring these 2 young women in.
Yeah, absolutely. When we recruit, I really do talk about the 4-year experience a lot. And to have someone like Steph last year graduate and be a model for that, for our recruits and our players is important for me. And I bring back so many alums. We probably had 30 alums back last year in the building or coming back for a football tailgate to talk to the team, just so they can see what an example of the pride in where you graduated from. So number one, I talk about that a lot. I do the transfer portal for us. I want it to always be very positive. Obviously, it was last year, but I also want it to be in moderation. I don't think any coach wants to rebuild an entire roster each year. I was really excited about Ayanna Franks. We recruited her really hard out of high school. We were down to one of her last schools, so I feel like I really knew her game.
And she was Connecticut Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah, from Windsor, Connecticut, and we had really recruited her for a few years. So I felt like I knew her game. What she did or didn't do at URI was less important to me because I felt like I already knew her and had a relationship with her, and was really excited because for us, with our newcomers, our transfers and freshmen, we needed to upgrade athleticism.
Yeah.
And we did that, and she did that, and she can score the ball.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned because Leah Bullard's the other one you bring in, transfer from Oakland. She's also just a sophomore. So you're bringing in transfers, but theoretically room for them to establish themselves within your system.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are things we talked about during the process as well. And with Leah, we needed just some depth at the post spot. And I think there's real potential for versatility inside and out. And we didn't know Leah, coming out of high school, but watched some film, had some good conversations with her. And again, I think the things we're about as a program, Leah understands, Leah is about, and I've been really pleased with Leah, Ayanna, and our two freshmen, just growth over the past few months here at UMass.
All right, before we get into some of the other players, let's take a different course here, all right? When you're traveling with a team and you guys play a tough game on the road, and then you got to get out, you got to get on the plane, get out, what's the best thing to feed your players? How do you do it quickly? Because it's always so hard, right? You're like, okay, here's some pizza, here's some sandwiches. What's your preferred item?
Honestly, good question. But for us, those decisions are made well in advance.
Which is a well-oiled machine, right?
Well, one, you don't want to let the emotion of a win or a loss affect things. But no, we order our food well in advance. Our players have individual meals for post game that are on the bus for them, waiting for them to when they leave the locker room. One thing we did last year that was the players started and asked for was any road win, we stopped for ice cream.
Love it.
Love that. So we held true to that every single game we played. Even if it was a night game, we found a McDonald's open or we found a Wendy's open and celebrated. You have to celebrate the wins. Sometimes as critical as you want to be as a coach, even after a win, you have to step back and remind yourself of the work that you put in. And no matter who you're playing, no matter where you're playing, winning is really difficult.
You stop at a Wendy's, not a sponsor, could be. Add some French fries to that Frosty.
Personally, yeah, absolutely. And then I'm always getting the biggest ice cream I can get no matter what.
That's how you celebrate a win, man. Yeah, maybe throw some gummy bears on there, really make it a whole thing. When you look at this team, we talk about like personalities, who do you see as someone who's a big personality, someone who's establishing themselves as a leader heading into your third year as the head coach here?
Meg and Allie are returning captains, in their leadership last year.
Megan Olbrys and Allie Palmieri.
And Allie Palmieri, absolutely. And their leadership with Steph Kaleja and Momo LeClaire last year was really beneficial. And for Meg is our heart and soul. She really is demonstrative on the court, emotional. I love that for her. Those two are really good leaders by example.
Yeah.
And as I told our team, we have to find out who's going to help us, who's going to kind of lead us, and who's going to have the emotional intelligence, who's going to bring that as well to be able to give pats on the back or be an ear for a teammate that maybe had a rough practice or a rough game. And I'm hopeful that some different individuals can step up. Lily Ferguson, being an experienced player, a senior, has that in her.
Yeah, she's been here several years now, too.
She's been here several years. I hope Chineye is able to do that for some teammates. Yamani McHale, even though she's a sophomore, a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, I asked her, I just wanted to hear her voice more. And she's done that in the last 2 weeks, and it's been really noticeable. And, even our support staff, our strength coach, our athletic trainer have come up to me at different points in the last 10 days and said, wow, Yamani's talking a lot more now. So I think we need to lead in a way and grow by committee as well. The one thing I don't want to do is just say, hey, we have 4 starters back. We do have 8 players back. We don't have to worry about that piece. I still want to worry about it.
Yeah, it's easy for people to just say, whoa, this is what you did last year.
Right.
They're coming back, so it should be just the same, and that's not the case.
Yeah, and I met with our leadership weekly last year, and we went through a leadership captain's workbook, to just talk about some different scenarios, case studies, and help them get on the same page. And I plan on doing the same this year. And I just want to make sure we're all moving in the same direction.
Megan Olbrey's 14-8 last year, third team All A10. What is her ceiling heading into a year like this one for her?
Well, for Meg,
she be a first team player if everything falls into place? Absolutely.
For Meg, just like any of our players, like there's still room to grow. And those are conversations we have. I think Meg was 2 for 5 from 3 last year. She can really shoot the three. She just never shot.
Let's see it then.
We worked a lot this spring, this summer, this fall on her catching and shooting, getting her in different spots.
Makes her a different player altogether if she's got that threat.
Makes her a different player, spreads the floor differently for us. So that's one way we really want to add to her game and help her understand that. And then 2, just facing the basket on post-ups. She saw some double teams last year, just helping her understand decision-making against the doubles. And those are ways we think we can help Meg grow. And she's been totally on board with it. And if anything, I want her to be a little more aggressive, shoot a little more, especially from the perimeter.
What's the hardest trait or thing to teach as a head coach for a program? Like, is it teamwork? Is it, a certain aspect of the game? Like, what is like one of the most difficult things you find about trying to teach kids?
I just think if we go back to the leadership piece or who's being vocal, understanding the balance between, hey, how am I talking to my teammate? Like, am I assigning blame all the time? Or am I taking some blame? Do we need encouragement right now? Or do we need to like hold each other accountable in this moment? I think those nuances are really, really difficult for players to understand, because even with our upperclassmen and our leadership, I want them to be more vocal. But there are times I have to explain what that means and make sure what I'm saying is what those players who I'm talking to are hearing. Because I do want everyone to step up and be more vocal. That doesn't mean everyone's just going to blame each other and hold each other accountable when there's a mistake.
Yeah. Or everyone just talking.
Just talking.
You talk too much, right?
Yeah, and that happens a lot. I'm sure our freshmen over the years, they have 3 different voices talking to them per possession, and that's on top of multiple coaches talking to them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's moments where they feel like, can I get anything right? So I think just balancing that. And honestly, our team is probably doing better than they think they're doing, and reminding them that.
You bring in Val Klopfer as your director of player development. She's got a long history of working within the game. I think Cornell for 21 years. Tell us about her, what her role is, and how she can help your program.
Yeah, as I understand like what I want from a coaching staff and what I need from a coaching staff, from now and moving forward, the baseline was, hey, I really want everyone to know basketball. I want any player to be able to go out to anyone on our staff and have a question and know they're going to get a really competent answer and an understanding. And like Val's experience speaks for itself. She was a great player at Wake Forest, has over 20 years experience coaching. And I wanted to push our guards a little bit more, and Val has come in and helped us upgrade just how our guards are getting taught, pushed, whether it's video or on the court. And I really I'm thankful, grateful, because I do have such an experienced coaching staff. And I feel like, our staff now in year 3 is the strongest that it's been, honestly, since I've been here. And I'm really excited about that.
So that role is sort of, they'll work individually with kids, or they'll just be there to assist where you need help. I mean, we're in a world where there's no more, it used to be just associate head coach, assistant coach, right? And now it's
those player development roles for us are de facto assistant coaches. Okay. To be honest with you, Val has a really good voice at practice. I'm going to put a lot of responsibility on her. So for me at this point, we have 5 assistant coaches, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, the ratio. It's like if you're ever a middle school teacher, right? You want 5 kids to 1 teacher, not 20 to 1, right?
Right.
And do you feel like, I mean, talking with other coaches, Frank, obviously we talk a lot. Do you feel like you're a teacher at times more than a coach? Does it feel like those words kind of blend together sometimes?
If anything, there are many times where I write teach on my practice or in a drill, because we do have to teach. I have to teach, lead, motivate, and obviously I ask for our upperclassmen to help with some of those things. Yeah. But yeah, there are times where we have some people learning a drill or learning rotations or an offense, and we might not be moving as fast as we need to be on that first day. And there's plenty of times where I have to take a step back and be okay with that and help our players learn what they need to do and then learn to do it at the pace we need to do. So the teaching piece, yes. I think from my seat, it's when I write that on a practice, it's a reminder, hey, for these next 15 minutes, let's take emotion out of things and let's really just focus in on the details and the teaching. And that's where I think even adding someone like Val and having a staff. With 4 starters back, we are focusing more on the details now than ever before. And that's the important
Because
stuff.
you can get into the nitty-gritty.
Because we can.
And that's where the benefit of, I know every coach would rather have kids that they've had, because you build that foundation of understanding, right? So now you don't have to go back and rewire a kid who maybe learned something a different way.
Absolutely. And development, and this is a little off topic, like player development is a years-long process. Sam Breen and I, when she first got here and she was sitting out, like I use this example, we started working on scoring off the dribble and pull-ups and step backs. And she probably didn't shoot a step back jumper till 2 years later in a game, right? But wins us some games in the A-10 tournament against Fordham and St. Joe's. But it's a years-long process, and I stress that in the recruiting process. And Yamani McHale was a great example of that for us. Like all year, our first year, we were focused on decision-making for her and team stuff. Yeah. It wasn't until the spring where we could really work on some individual skills for her. Hey, let's really develop the floater that you have in there, but let's talk about when to shoot it, how to shoot it. Let's get some reps on it. How to finish differently around the rim. Yeah. So, Yamani was with us for 7-8 months, and it wasn't until that spring after the first year till we really dove in on the individual development more, because just the nature of the position for her.
Because you need her to be
the
quarterback that doesn't throw the interception, right? And to be able to hit her teammates before she can. It's almost like when they tell you the airplane masks fall down, put it on yourself first and then others, right? Like you got to learn how to actually like help others by helping yourself. Yeah. And you mentioned Sam Breen. Now I can only picture her now doing a step back. Like it's amazing to see, like she didn't have that in her bag.
Didn't have it, but like, and wouldn't, I wouldn't expect her to trust doing that. Yeah. Until you really work and work and work. And then you see and just like our current players, like a left hand, a post player doing a left hand hook, they have to develop that confidence 1-on-1 or 1-on-0, and then in practice before they would think to do it in a game.
Does hitting it in a game, like the first 1 or 2 times you do something like that, ultimately just lead them to believe that they can?
I think it's validation. I mean, honestly, I'm celebrating misses if you try it. You know what I mean?
That's great.
I did it with one of our post players. She could only, when we were playing against our guys the other day at a workout, I said, hey, these are you have to use your left hand on the finishes. This is what it looks like on the right side. This is what it looks like on the left side. But you got to force yourself to do it. And so for that 3 minutes, they feel like they're in a box for that 3-minute drill. But then when they do it, it's like validation that, hey, I can do it. And then you hope that springboards them to future success.
Who on the team has control of the musical playlist, the Bluetooth pairing when you start warming up?
That's by committee. I know in the weight room they really rotate and mix it up a lot. And for us, like probably during warm-ups, it's Yolanda Cole on our staff. She'll go to the aux, a mix of things. I think our team likes everything, to be honest with you. I know we have a couple people on the team really partial to Drake.
Seems to be popular, I guess.
Really popular, but I think there's a host of things. We have country on there. We have just pop. I hear everything.
What do you, first road trip, you guys are on a bus, maybe you got a moment to watch something on Netflix or streaming. What are you watching?
Me personally, I'm not. And that's a really
Ever. Okay, fine.
answer.
Let me revamp.
I'm reading.
You're at home at night, all right?
Oh, this is a
trying to
worse
fall
answer.
asleep. Okay. And you're going to put something on. What do you got?
We just finished Suits, but that was like a decade old.
Yeah.
My wife and I like do not watch shows, and it's scary. We're trying. We just turned the Emmys on, so we're going to try Adolescence
Okay.
on Netflix, and then we want to
know
watch
that
The
one.
Studio.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is
Yeah.
supposed to be good, but
Yeah.
we've tried to do shows in the past, and like we both fall asleep, or it just doesn't pan out.
And then one gets into it, and then you're
Yeah.
5 episodes ahead because she's on her phone or vice versa, or
That's
reading
it.
or doing something else.
That's it. Just doing something else or busy with the kids. We just got a dog in the spring.
oh, man. Has the dog
honestly,
been to practice yet?
The dog has been in the gym, but not to practice.
What's the dog's name?
Hadley.
What kind? Oh, geez. Wow.
Yeah, she'd go. Yeah, good, right?
Yeah.
I love where I live. She's a copper dog, Australian copper dog, which is essentially a purebred golden doodle.
Man.
She's been great. I took her for a walk this morning. She's off leash a lot around the woods, around our area, so she's a lot of fun. We did just get Sonos speakers around our house, so that is more fun to me than watching a show on
All
Netflix.
right. That sounds
you just put the
relaxing.
music
There you
on,
go.
and it's on everywhere.
Then you got the fall, crisp breeze.
Things are good,
Good
yeah.
stuff. All right, so you guys go down to Old Dominion on November the 3rd. And then I'm looking at the schedule here for November. It is heavily at home. So Siena, Harvard, Lowell, BC, Holy Cross. I mean, those are all going to be really good, hopefully competitive games. But do you feel like, hey, we've got a chance here early in the season to take advantage of the schedule because we have these teams kind of stacked up at home?
I'm excited to be at home.
Yeah.
And
I think
honestly,
last year, weren't you on the road for?
first year on the road a
while,
lot.
yeah.
Last year we kind of had some blocks home, and then we were on the road for a while. I'm excited to be at home. Obviously, our players sleeping in their bed, us being home, it just is a really nice lead into the season. Again, it's a nice road trip to start. ODU, really competitive team, but I just mean the travel itself is a good travel to lead into the season. It's a boring answer, but like it's our third practice in a row today, and that always comes with some challenges because it's the first time we're going 3 days in a row. Like I just want us to have a really good day with a lot of energy, and if we just keep doing that, the wins will take care of themselves.
Do you worry, I guess, they get into a rhythm and it's like, hey, I'm just going through the motions of a practice, and then it's your job to figure out like how to inspire them in different ways?
Right now we're in a good spot. I don't worry. I just want to get to a point to make sure that when those little issues come up, there are player-led solutions, if that makes sense. It can't always be me. Like I got on us yesterday. I just thought we were a little uneven at practice, and it was partly my fault the way practice was set up because you ramp up things and we're going full court against our practice guys. And then we dial it back. We do some defensive stations and breakdowns, and then we walked through, and then we ramped it back up again.
Yeah.
And we just weren't as sharp ramping it back up, and partly to do because we just had a lull on the practice plan, But in those moments, we're veteran enough to be like, hey, let's get it together, quick huddle, and off we go. And we're right back like 0 to 100, how we need to be.
I'm excited about this team. I mean, Yamani McHale, you talked about her. I mean, she really made an impact last year. And freshman of the year, huge accolades for her. We got her listed at 5'6". What are the challenges for her? And is someone like from that maybe overlooked at times in the recruiting process because they're tiny, or
overlooked in the recruiting process? Yeah, she had some good, schools knew her, but I'm sure overlooked in the recruiting process. Size, never really bothered me for point guards or guards. I just think she has a great way about her on the court. She'll continue to improve her decision-making below the free throw line. She's already doing a better job with that, not getting caught in the air.
Yeah.
And again, some different finishes. She's been unbelievably coachable from day one. And I do think she really thinks this place is home, and I think she continues to she probably wears that and shows that a little more this year than last year. But I saw that, I don't know if you want to call it maturation, in our press conferences last year. I heard the things that Steph was saying as she was reflecting back on her time. And then I heard really similar things coming out of Yamani's mouth and Megan's mouth.
Yeah.
even though it was their first year here. So I felt like we're really in the right direction, whether it was after a win or a loss. You know,
which is key, right? It's easy to do it after a win.
Yeah,
right?
I knew we were going in the right direction, because I do want them to feel ownership on the program. And last year when we started the year, like, we had some players come in and say, well, we want to win. And I was like, well, me too. Let's learn that the responsibility in a good way is 90 probably on your shoulders more than mine.
Yeah.
And for our players to like understand that, like, oh, if I want to win, if I put the work in, I'm responsible for making it happen. And to see someone like Imani and understand that and learn that, I really think she's poised for a great year.
I think that's because I hear it a lot. Like, here's the things we need to do to win, right? We got to shoot 40% from or 35% from 3-point range and, 55% from the floor or whatever. And we can't turn it over 19 times. But how do you get to those results, I think, is more important than setting what the results are or what the targets are to win or lose. And it sounds like what you have is like the building blocks to be able to actually achieve those desired outcomes.
Yeah, and then just saying I can be responsible for doing X, Y, and Z to get the results we want, whether that's extra shooting or how I'm getting coached in practice, how I'm receiving coaching, how I'm talking to my teammates. Those things matter, and I think we have a group that really is in the right direction with those things. It's still going to take a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I still have to pay attention to the culture piece and to the leadership piece. But I really am excited about the challenges. And like I told them, the team at our first team meeting, we have to just make sure that the challenges that we're going to overcome this year are coming from outside this room. They can't come from inside the room. And I think if I'll reiterate that message again, I'm sure multiple times, but I think if we have a group that understands that, we can go where we want to go.
Like, there's enough challenges out there.
There's plenty out there. Yeah. We don't need to sabotage ourselves. Yeah.
All right. I'm happy you came up here. And can I get you next month, and we'll get a little closer to the season and
anytime
see how things are going?
Yeah, I'd love to give you an update.
All right, great. All right, Coach, thanks so much.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, he's head coach Mike Leflar. My name's Jay Burnham. We'll see you next time.